And live from our studios here in Kokomlemle, Accra, this is Joy News Prime, live on DSTV channel 421, live on GoTV channel 125, around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up this hour, over 6,000 teachers who failed the licensure exams have one last opportunity to pass or veer into another profession. We hear from the registrar of the National Teaching Council and some educationists on the way forward. Also, how do you build digital economy when the economic fundamentals are weak? Governance advisor and CEO of Kufuor Foundation, Professor Bafo Ajimandia, questions government's commitment to take bold reforms to improve the economy. Details as Joy News documentary catalogs Ghana's journey with the International Monetary Fund. Also, Vice President Bawumia Shan's official vehicles joins campaign team in bus. A surprising move amid controversy and of incumbency abuse allegations. But what has really informed this decision? The campaign team of the Vice President has, however, dispelled assertions that the decision is populist just to attract public attention. Now, the National Teaching Council says it has taken notice of the challenges of teachers with the licensure examination and has modified it to ensure teachers take exams in their areas of expertise. The council is also asking potential teachers not to see the licensure examination as a distraction, rather a layer that ensures that they meet the national standards for teaching in Ghana. According to official details, out of 7,728 prospective teachers who retook the exams, only 1,277 passed, meaning as many as 6,451 failed. The assessment in numeracy, literacy, and professional knowledge is to enable qualified teachers get a professional license while attracting young graduates with required professional knowledge and skills to teach. We'll hear from the NTC shortly, but first, here's what our data and research desk have gleaned from details provided by the NTC. Now, from the data, those who have sat the exams in November 2021, we had the highest mark being 46/60. Lowest mark was 5/60. Average pass mark was 29/60. In June 2022, we had the highest mark being around 52/60, with the lowest mark being 6/60. Average was around 31/60. Some others wrote in December 2022, having the pass mark being around 56. In May 2023, we had some sitting and with the highest mark being around 44%. What else does the data say? When you go further, the data breaks down to give you a lot of the areas they were looking at. So these were the topics that the teachers were tested on. So they were looking at conditional sentences, subject-verb agreement, prepositions, relative pronouns, question tags, order of adjectives, passive and active voices, reported speech, idiomatic expression, synonyms and antonyms, and identifying errors in passages. So after all of that was done, under literacy, according to the NTC, the candidate's performance in this section was terribly poor in this examination. Now, according to them, 74.4% of the candidates scored less than half of the marks, with some scoring 0 under literacy. Now, it goes on to say that unlike the previous examinations, no candidate scored all the items in this section. It goes on to then give a breakdown. For example, the competency areas the candidate performed poorly are in this area. So for question tag, 14.4% of the 500 candidates who sat or who were sampled got it wrong. Question 9 specifically said, you could scarcely raise your head. So the options were, can you? B, could you? C, couldn't you? And D, isn't it? Most of the candidates wrongly chose couldn't you as the answer. It shows the candidate have not mastered negation in English. So this is one critical example of the questions that were given. Now, on conditional sentence, 15.4% of the 500 candidates sampled got it correct. So the question was, if MFA dash time, she would have attended her uncle's birthday party. Options. Option A was had, B was had, C was has, and D was has had. So the right option was had. So if MFA had time, she would have attended her uncle's birthday party. Most of the candidates wrongly chose had as their answer. So these are some of the areas that the NTC used to determine or to question the competency of the teachers. Now, when it came to determiners, question 14 read, how dash alumni were at the meeting? So A, many, B, more, C, much, D, plenty. The answer is many. We continue on analyzing the data. Part B says this part had two sections. So section 1 was comprehension, and then section 2 was composition writing. Now, under comprehension, this part tested the candidate's level of understanding a test. The performance of the candidate in this year's comprehension was very bad. Only 35% of the candidates scored at least half of the total marks in the section, while 88%, 67%, and 54% obtained the same marks in the 3 previous examinations. Now, inability of the candidate to understand the comprehension passage. So these were the weaknesses of the candidate. Their inability to understand the comprehension passage. 2, most of the candidates could not use the appropriate formal features of the essay. 3, the essays written by some of the candidates contained features of debate writing and letter writing, poor expressions, and unintelligible and poor compositions in the answers. So on the screen now has to do with some of the wrong spellings that the teachers put up. So, for example, if a teacher wants to spell headache, then they spell something which would come close to headache. If they want to spell middle, they spell it middle, that is M-I-D-I-L-L. Punctual, they spelled it punctual. It should be punctual. Gathering, they spelled it gardening. Absenteeism, they said absentism. So those are some of the things that were found out in the just ended teacher licensure exams that were written by them. Now, the recommendations that we're giving, the features of the various essay topics should be emphasized, and when to use each should be clearly distinguished. 2, the teaching of paragraph structure and connectives used by writers to introduce, emphasize, or restate points in essays is recommended. And 3, the teaching of comprehension should be stressed as the candidates appeared either not able to read the passage or understand the passage at all. So these were some of the issues there. Now, the Ghana Association of Teachers, NAT, is calling for an investigation into the failure rate. Thomas Musa is General Secretary of NAT.
It's a good story. It's disturbing. It is like having about 80% of your soldiers not fit for purpose. That is it. It means that you are not safe. And we need to interrogate why. It is not enough for you to hear that is the what that is it. The question is why? What really happened? And what can we do? So once we identify all those things, then we get them corrected. I am not excited always having to come around this same situation. Then we told 70 people couldn't make it, 80 people couldn't make it. I've been asking why? Why is it so? What really happened? How can this thing be corrected? And I think that should be our focus. Therefore, we will need the training institutions. The teachers these teachers, some of them come from UCCO, some of them come from Winneba, some of them come from Lagos, some of them come from the colleges of education. So is it the case that these institutions are not training them well?
Meanwhile, the registrar of the NTC, Christian Adai Poku, whilst explaining that the council has modified the exams, said that teachers who failed the recent licensure exams should prepare and take advantage of the next window in November. He's been speaking exclusively to Joy News.
This one is a peculiar case because this examination was exclusively for reciters, people who have written the examination on a number of occasions and have not been successful. And those were the people who wrote this examination. Traditionally, the pass rate of the licensure examination has been around between 60 and 70%. That is when you have fresh students mingling with reciters. But this year, the fresh students are moving into a new era of examination, a new dispensation. So they were not combined with, or they were not allowed to join the reciters. So it was exclusively for reciters, people who have written the examination 10 times, 9 times, 8 times, and so on, and have not been successful. And so their chances, in fact, studies have shown that when people continuously write the exam and they are not passing, their chance of passing is very, very, very low. And so it's not a surprise that a lot of them could still not make it.
So if that's the case, what would be the remedy then for people like that? Because like you say, after continuous writing for a number of times, it will be difficult for them to pass. What will be the remedy then?
Yeah, we are proposing 2 ways to deal with it. After November writing, if they are not able to pass, those who are diploma holders must go for further studies and acquire degrees to be able to do it. I think those with degrees who have not been able to make it, we need to do extra classes and so on to be able to do it. Fortunately for the degree holders, we are reforming the exam. And so the new reform may favor them, because a lot of them complain about numeracy, literacy, because those are not their area of specialization.
Now, this development has stoked the debate about the relevance of the licensure exams again. Now, to help us with some perspectives, we're joined by on Zoom by Dr. Mike Gyakye, Director General of the Institute for Educational Planning and Administration at the University of Cape Coast, and Dr. Peter Patti, who is Executive Director for the Institute of Education Studies, IFirst. Let me start with you, Dr. Yadom. I'm grateful for joining us here. First, why licensure exams?
Thank you very much, Pajo, and good evening to your wonderful viewers. So let me give you the purpose of this exam to specifically answer your question. The purpose of the exam is to enable candidates who graduate from teacher education institutions in Ghana to acquire professional status through licensing. So that is the first part, that they acquire professional licensing. The second part is to ensure that teachers in Ghana meet the demands of the national teacher standards by acquiring the competencies and experiences, including knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes that are necessary for effective delivery in school. So you realize that we have 2 arms of the purpose of the exam. One is purely for licensing, and the second one is for them to demonstrate that they have the competences of the national teachers standards, which includes knowledge, skills, values, and then attitudes. So the big question for me is the teachers who did not pass, and I'm intentionally using did not pass instead of fail. The teachers who did not pass, to what extent are they demonstrating the national teachers standards? To what extent are they demonstrating the competences, experiences, and the knowledge that we expect them to demonstrate? And let us not forget that the registrar of NTC had informed us that this group are a group of reciters, and they have peculiar challenges. So I believe it wouldn't be too fair to use the results of these reciters to generalize that teachers in Ghana are not doing well and teachers in Ghana are not good. And for me, that is a bit worrying, because if we are not careful with the ongoing commentary, we may end up creating an impression in the minds of the learners that their teachers are not good. And then secondly, we may end up also demotivating teachers across the country, many of whom are doing very well. Again, the registrar indicated that the average pass mark is about 60%. So this is a peculiar case. This is a peculiar group, and we must have this discussion in this context, in my opinion.
Let me bring in Dr. Anti here. Doc, I mean, from the data that has been provided, is the licensure exams really serving its purpose?
Good evening to your viewers and good evening to my boss, Dr. Boache. Yes, it is. For me, I believe that the teaching profession is a profession that needs the best hands to pursue this career. And
Okay.
as such, if you have teachers who cannot put words together, write simple sentences, and cannot pass simple literacy and numeracy exams, they don't have any business going into the classroom. So for me, I think that we should be happy that we have a system like this in place that is trying to ensure that the standards of the teaching profession are held in high esteem, and ensure that we don't end up having just anybody at all in the classroom. We should understand that when these people write their exams, they have 1 year induction period. So you pass, you are given a provisional license, you have 1 year to, get used to the system. During that 1 year, there are certain things that you are supposed to do. And when after the 1 year, when they feel that, the council feel that you have satisfied all those criteria, then you are giving your permanent license to practice. And this is standard practice for all professions that we have. So I don't know why people would have problems with something that would, at the end of the day, would put the teaching profession in a light that we all so much desire for it to be. I think it is serving its purpose. It is good that they are reforming it. There are certain changes that are coming in place, and that is why we had this group of people writing this exam, because they have tried over the years to pass and have not been able to pass, and that is why Dr. Wachi is indicating that we should put this discussion in perspective. These are people who have sat for the exams for periods. Once, twice, thrice, so many times they have not been able to pass. It's like bringing the weak students together to see whether we'll be able to sieve them, to see those who will be able to still push to the next level. And this is what the outcome is. And they are not even full teachers, because they just moved from the colleges of, the various teacher training institutions, and they are now trying to enter the teaching profession. So we should be happy that these people are not teaching our kids, because if you can't do these basic literacy and numeracy tests, what business have you got to do to enter a classroom to teach my word or your word?
So you're saying that we cannot use these failures to then argue or probably fault the way they were taught as the means by which they're failing?
Yes, of course. If people sit for the Ghana Bar Association exams and they fail, do we question the competencies of their teachers? Do we question the competencies of the curriculum that is being run? We don't. All that we say is that why are people not passing the bar exams? So this is also the teaching profession is this is where we belong. And we are saying that we don't want anybody to just come in. So you have to pass the licensure exam. If you don't pass, it means that you don't meet the standards. If you don't meet the standards, you are not allowed to practice.
Dr.
It's as simple as that.
I'm grateful to you. But Dr. Yadom, just before I let you go, you heard there that there's a change in how the exams will be carried out. You think there's a way out of this?
I believe so. More so when these reforms that the registrar mentioned are data-driven. I have seen a couple of reports of research that has been done. One, an evaluation of the Ghana Teacher Licensure Examination. This was released in February 2022. And this study makes some of the recommendations that the registrar mentioned, talking about subject-specific exams and then the rest. So, and there are more. In April, 2 months ago, NTC held a research dissemination workshop. I had the opportunity to be on the panel, and the entire workshop was dissemination of 3 very important NTC-related, licensure-related exams, test quality and trend analysis, and few others. So I believe that once these reforms are data-driven, I believe that they are the way to go, and we must support them. But we must encourage those who did not pass that we believe in them and they can make it.
Dr. Wachi Yadom, grateful to you for joining us. Now to other stories now. Governance Advisor and Chief Executive Officer of the Kufuor Foundation, Professor Bafo Agyemang-Duah, is questioning how the country's leaders intend to improve the economy with ad hoc promises. Now, according to him, a digital economy cannot be built on weak economic fundamentals. Responding to Joy News' documentary cataloging Ghana's journey with the International Monetary Fund, Professor Ajiman said government must show leadership by taking bold reforms to improve the standard of living of the people.
Ghanaians do not learn our history. Look, there was a period in our recent history where the government never went to the IMF, 1972 to 78, Kutu Echampong. Despite all his failure, and I know he made some terrible mistakes, he never went to the IMF. And ask yourself why. Because of the domestic policies he initiated. Operation Feed Yourself, Operation Feed Your Industry, taking 50% shares in our minerals in this country.
But today, while we are constrained for time, I just have to say this. Today, you can't go and say Yentia.
You cannot say Yentia, but you can do like my good friend Tuahin was saying. You sign contracts today like you signed it 30 years ago. Look, currently, Namibia has started renegotiating with companies that have been mining their minerals over the years. So we need some courage. We need some leaders with vision who can project where we want to be. Not these ad hoc promises that I heard somebody say his vision is to make Ghana a digital hub. Upon what basis? If your fundamentals are weak, then you create a digital empire. Where will it stand? Vision, 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 courage.
On his part, Professor of Finance with the University of Ghana Business School, Godfrey Bokpeng, said the impact of the harsh economic measures is having a toll on Ghanaians, insisting President Akufo-Addo should resign if he cannot govern with 40 ministers.
If the president cannot govern this country with less than 40 ministers, he should step down. He should step down. What is wrong with that?
Okay.
We said that govern with this number of people because we don't have the budget to sustain all of that. Okay, collapse that, sell the V8. I hope you understand that. You know what? You need to declare war on this economy.
Banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etuahene described as unfortunate President Akufo-Addo's description of the rating agencies as reckless.
It's very sad, very, very sad. The very people who rated you to go to the market to borrow are now being called reckless. What is like Prof has just said, what's our way of thinking? And this methodology used is not only used for Ghana, it's used for like Cote d'Ivoire, it's used for Togo, it's used for Nigeria, it's used for every country. By the time you were seeking for money, you thought it was excellent. Now that you have run your economy down, mess it up, and somebody is just telling you that what you're doing is not right, we call them what? The comment, seriously, it's for me, it is just uncalled for. We should have kept our mouth shut and let the system find its own way. Because what we have done is not for international image.
Now, economist and senior lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Priscilla Chumesi-Bafo, is asking government to be aggressive in the collection of taxes.
And you indicated that the people that are in the tax nets are consistently being squeezed. That is true.
Right.
Because the people that are in the nets are the ones that are majority are paying the direct taxes. They are also paying indirect taxes. E-levy was introduced. They are the same people that are actively in there transacting electronic transactions.
Right.
So essentially, something needs to be done to broaden the tax base. We should adopt technology and rope a lot of people in through payment of taxes, whether direct or indirect. But for me, my advocacy is that GRA should go in and be very aggressive in terms of collection of direct taxes as well, so that everybody contributes a bit to that we are all seeking to.
Now, the opposition NDC has taken its fight to secure the electoral victory of the James Quayson to the doorstep of the Attorney General, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame. They accused the AG of acting irresponsibly by making insulting comment to secure a day-to-day court hearing. Mr. Quayson's lawyers today urged the court to halt the criminal trial and resume after the June 27 by-election. They had the support of some constituents who thronged the law court complex to back the demand. Legal Affairs correspondent Joseph Akable reports.
The court has already set 20th June to the 23rd of June to hear the trial of James Gyakye Quayson, but his lawyers had raised issues about that particular date, and some supporters, some from Asin North and other parts of the country, came over to the law court premises to throw their weight behind James Gyakye Quayson.
Moshe, Abba, Kwesi never no Moshe, no Moshe, Kwesi never no Moshe. We are denda Kwesi Beba. Beba. We are denda Kwesi Beba. We are denda Kwesi Beba.
We want to show that the man has not committed any crime. Even criminals who commit murder, they can't arraign them every day. How much somebody who has left Canada, 45 years in Canada, has come to serve his people, and you are treating him as if it's a criminal. It is not fair. It is not fair. My brother, the time they sworn in Gyakye Quayson, he had a certificate that shows that he had renounced his citizenship with Canada and he's now a Ghanaian. Is that not so? So why now that they say he's not a Ghanaian? It is not fair. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know how people sit down and then they just think that everybody should just follow them. No, it is not fair. The man is a Ghanaian.
The moment you tender your citizenship to Canadian law, you terminate being a citizen of Canada. So I see no reason why they still prolong that sort of, that hula baloo about his citizenry. He's a Ghanaian, and you have come back home, and you have tendered his citizen, his resignation as a Canadian citizen. Then why this hula baloo?
As the legal team for James Gyakye Quayson is concerned, they believe that the court should give him some time till the June 27 by-election because they believe he is embarking on a parliamentary and a national assignment for that particular matter. They actually took on the Attorney General. It will be recorded when the Attorney General made a request for the day-to-day hearing. He had made a point that he believes James Gyakye Quayson was not acting responsibly in contesting an election, knowing very well that he is on trial. NDC Director of Legal Affairs, Abraham Amaleba, had the occasion to respond to this particular matter.
Once the Attorney General complains of short service and they needed to respond to our application, it's only fair that the court gives them an opportunity to reply to our application. So to call somebody irresponsible when he's embarked on a democratic process, and that because he's embarked on that democratic process, he's irresponsible, shouldn't be coming from Attorney General and the Minister of Justice. If you're a Minister of Justice, you must ensure that justice is done to all manner of persons. And so that was an irresponsible comment from the Attorney General. He doesn't act like an Attorney General, and I agree with Senior Chachikata that his comments were irresponsible.
Deputy Attorney General Alfred Yeboah disagrees and maintains that as far as they are concerned, the AG did not say anything that is out of the ordinary by way of being contrary to law.
Counsel for the accused person made a point that the AG on the last agenda date said the accused person is being irresponsible from what he said in court today. If that is contained in the affidavit in support, then we will need time to also respond to same, because every single word that the AG uttered on the last agenda date was proper. In fact, he was able to convince the court the need for the matter to be heard on daily basis. So we are at sea as to why they are talking about an attack on the accused person, but we are waiting.
But what is irresponsible about a person qualified deciding to contest an election?
They are saying that AG said he was being irresponsible. We don't know why they are coming by such a deposition. But as I said, we don't know what they've stated exactly in the affidavit in support. We just heard him. So we just want to set the affidavit that we can respond appropriately.
And as far as you are concerned, what you'll be asking for tomorrow is that the dates that have been agreed should continue and they shouldn't take that long adjournment to enable him contest the election as he wants to.
It's not about he not being allowed to contest the elections. He has a right to contest. The state also has a right to hear cases pending in court. So it's going to be opposition, even though it will not be served, that the court properly exercise their discretion in granting adjournment on daily basis. And that's what we're going to maintain.
So the court adjourned proceedings to Wednesday to hear this particular matter, indicating that it believes it is only fair that both sides are given the opportunity to argue out the issues that have been canvassed by way of whether or not the court should adjourn the matter till June 28 or allow the trial to continue as per the days that have already been agreed. For joining us on the Law Court Complex, my name is Joseph Akable.
Now, in the midst of intensifying controversy surrounding the possibility of incumbency abuse in the upcoming MPP presidential elections, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has taken a surprising step. He has chosen to park his official vehicles and join his campaign team in a bus as he embarks on a tour of various constituencies in the Greater Accra region. This unexpected decision has left many wondering about the motives behind it. Samuel Mbura of our political desk reports.
The vice president's choice to abandon the usual flamboyant display of luxurious V8 engine vehicles is a departure from the norm. Instead, his convoy now consists of a lean fleet with no official vehicles in sight. Critics have voiced concerns that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia might be leveraging his position and utilizing official resources to gain an unfair advantage over other candidates vying for the MPP presidential nomination. Spokesperson for the Vice President, Dr. Gideon Boaku, said the decision is a commitment to ensure protection of public funds.
You know, in the first place, this is a private campaign of the Vice President, and so he doesn't want to abuse the incumbency. And so he decided that for this private political campaign, he's not going to use state resources. So he has his own set of vehicles. And what is important is that he could have, afforded to use V8s or whatever. But he thinks that in order to be frugal and also show that he's a leader that is prepared to put to proper use the resources that he has, he decided to go for this bus. So all the team members are in the bus. We go with the bus, and then when he finishes also, he uses the bus to go to wherever he wants to go to.
He has, however, dismissed such suggestions. The campaign team seeks to draw unnecessary public attention.
He will procure his own private arrangement of bus to move with. And that is exactly what he's doing. And I think that is what Ghanaians want to have. While insofar as we think we can sustain it, we will sustain it. But it is his objective that throughout this campaign, he's going to use this bus. Thankfully, we started with the bus, and as of now, we haven't had any challenge not to use the bus.
Yes, we're watching Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more stories. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. Now, fire has gutted a 9-bedroom house at Tafo Pankrono in the Ashanti region. The incident started around 5:30 p.m. this evening. Fire personnel who got to the scene could do little to salvage the situation. The cause of the outbreak is still unknown. Love FM's Nana Boachi Yadom is at the scene now and joins us on the line with an update. Nana, what can you report from where you are?
Well, Praise, it is a 9-bedroom house that got affected by the outbreak, which is said to have started around 5 p.m. today. And what triggered the fire is still not known, but the Ghana Fire Service and the police have begun thorough investigation to determine the cause of the outbreak, which is unknown because it happened in the absence of all the residents occupying the house. An eyewitness we spoke to says an electrical gadget might have triggered the fire, but we are leaving that to the Ghana Fire Service to make a determination. What I can confirm as a matter of fact is that they lost everything in the house and they could not pick anything. It is a sad thing here as the residents are crying out loud. They blame the fire service for coming to the scene late to salvage the situation. But as a matter of fact, they cannot determine where they will sleep today because everything in the house really got burned.
So, I guess the fire has been put out eventually, right?
As it stands, the fire service is still there. They've sacked everybody from the house. They have not really brought down the fire. They are still inside, trying to do everything possible to make sure that everything is clear.
Wow. Interesting. All right. Has NADMO or the regional minister or any authority been there to commiserate with the family or the affected?
As at now, we are the assembly member of the area and the Ghana Police Service and the fire service at the scene. NADMO and any other authority is not around. We only saw the Ghana Police Service, the fire service, and the assembly member for Sakopanko not around.
Grateful to you for joining us with that update. Our hearts out to the affected victims. Now, there was a war of words between Minister for Lands and Natural Resources Samuel Abu Jinapo and Tamale North MP Alhassan Suhoyini over the status of the Tamale Abuabo timber market. The Tamale North MP had a question in his name seeking to find out if the land in question had been sold to a private developer, but that was not on the floor when the question was asked, with the lands minister accusing the MP of being derelict of his duty.
If I come to the house to ask a question about the people of Damango, if I come to the house to ask the people about Damango, that should take priority over any and everything. That should take priority over any and everything. If I come to the house to pose a question about the people of Damango, that should take priority over any and everything. He's a member of parliament for Tamale North, and by all intents and purposes, this is supposed to be a major issue for him, and he claims a major issue for the people of Tamale. And if he poses a question of that nature, the people of Tamale expect that he appears in the house to answer, to ask that question. He did not appear in that house. He was late, and he was derelict, and he disappointed his constituents, and that is the point I make. The second point about transparency. I am prepared to publish the entire file. I am prepared to publish the entire file relating to this matter. I'm prepared to publish the entire file. As I said, I inherited it. I did not execute the lease. And the broader issue of government redevelopment is not my policy. It's a policy which was enacted under President Rawlings.
Now, the Tamale North MP Alhassan Suhoyini fired back, insisting he was a very responsible MP.
At 9 a.m., the Environment Committee was in a meeting with the Environmental Protection Agency. And it is listed. You can check the meeting. And at about 10, the Speaker of Parliament was not in. And at the committee rooms, you all know that there's no TV to monitor to know if the Speaker has come in. So at that meeting, I got engaged with the EPA and I lost track of time. And that is how come I wasn't on the floor. But I am a responsible member of Parliament, and I was doing my responsibility as the people's representative. As early as 9 a.m., I was here participating at the Environment Committee meeting. So let the minister engage in all the propaganda he wants to engage in and all the attempts to make me look irresponsible and bad.
Now to other stories. The police inspector who is standing trial for gunning down his girlfriend in Kumasi says he's not guilty as he is committed for trial at a high court in July. Inspector Ahmed Chumesi at his committal proceedings today in the Asokore Mampon District Court in Kumasi angered relatives of the deceased when he told the court he's not guilty. But the prosecution told the court they are ready for trial. My colleague Erastus Asaridonko was in court and reports. We'll bring you that story in our subsequent bulletins. But for now, have you ever had a second thought about using public washrooms due to the insanitary conditions there? Well, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly is set to change that. Now, they are set to start rating public toilet facilities based on the standards indicated in the Assembly's bylaws. Speaking at a biannual training workshop for public toilet operators, the head of AMA Health and Sanitation team, Florence Kuchi, indicated that operators of public toilet could face prosecution if they fail to meet the specified standards. There is more in this report.
Facilities in Ghana have been left in the hands of individuals without supervision, resulting in poor sanitary conditions at the facilities. Some users of these facilities are sometimes faced with the choice of using them out of discomfort or to endure nature's call until they reach their destination. However, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, in collaboration with Whitty's Ghana, is set to change that in the metropolis. Public toilet facilities will now be graded like hotels based on standards indicated in the Assembly's bylaws. Florence Kuchi is head of AMA Health and Sanitation team.
In our Accra Metropolitan bylaw, there are laws on public toilet operators that if you operate a public toilet, you must operate your toilet within a particular standard. And that is the standard we want it to come to being. So you can see now we are doing the star rating public toilet operators. And with the star rating, we are going to go out with 3 things. 1, suitability certificate. 2, the hygiene auditing. And 3, the star rating stamps.
Kuchi adds that public toilet operators will face prosecution if they fail to pass the standard checklist.
We are going to go out with, we have 3 stamps. We have the green stamp, the yellow stamp, and the red stamp. So when we come to your place with our checklist, we realize that you have passed all the checklist that we want you, the standard list. We will give you a green stamp. If you are moderate, we give you yellow. But if you fall below the line, we'll give you red. And giving you red means we are closing down the said toilet facility and processing you for court for you to improve upon it.
Meanwhile, the managing director of Whitty's Ghana, Esther Edu-Dramna, says the AMA together with Whitty's Ghana will collaborate to train public toilet operators on observing proper sanitary conditions.
So after this training, we are going to do hygiene audits where we'll be visiting these toilet facilities to make sure that whatever we have trained them on today, they are going to apply them to their daily work or business. So it's going to be a periodic visit to their facilities.
This, she says, will help protect users from contracting infectious diseases from public toilet facilities. For Joy News, Prince Owusu Ansah's report read to you.
All right, so welcome back. Time for us to bring you Showbiz. And Becky Bex is here with the latest. Hi.
Hello to you, Brace. How you doing?
I'm
you look
well.
a bit tense this evening. What's wrong with you?
Tense to know.
Well, let's talk about Joe Mettle, because Joe Mettle says that all is set for the Praise Reloaded, which is happening this weekend at the Oil Dome. He was on Lexis Bill's show, talking about drive time with Lexis Bill, and he's been telling us all about it and what to expect.
It's happening this Sunday live at the Royal House Chapel, the Dome. We call it the Oil Dome. The Oil Dome. Right at the Obechebi Lamte Circle. 5 p.m. sharp. This coming Sunday, 25th of June, is happening. It's going down at Royal House. It's going to be amazing. You can't miss it. We had Kumasi like 2 weeks ago. Right. And this weekend is Accra. I'm not the only one going to be there. Sisi Chum is going to be there. Dwayne Daxing will be there. Better Revival Choir is going to be there. And then I have my friend all the way from Nigeria, Dunsin Oyekan, coming as well. Yes, and then we have Luigi McLean.
Afraid against the fire.
Listen, it's going to be a blast.
Oh, that's going to be good.
Presence. Yeah, so you can't miss it. We have tickets for 60 Ghana cedis standard. We have a 100 double ticket. And then 150 Ghana cedis VIP tickets. You can get them at Bachona Total, Airport Shell, Hacho Shell.
Well, let's move away from Joe. Let's talk about Ajetiana, because he is set to release his memoir on July 8th, which, certainly will mark his 50th birthday anniversary. Also on Prime Morning, talking about why he feels it's now to release that memoir.
I thought it was about time to do so because, I've moved from 2 phases. I mean, people would say that I was in a certain generation, but I'm now in another generation.
You continue to be in other generations as well.
And I thought that, look, the timing was right for me to sort of chronicle my last 50 years or the years through school, through work, through bad choices, the good, the bad, the ugly, through marriage to now. And I felt that the timing was right. I didn't want to wait because we have a generation who are burdened and want to take up the world. But I still needed to let them realize that, you know, there are things that they need to really consider. Otherwise, they will repeat the mistakes that we did. And especially in this age of social media, their challenges are even broader. You know, so I thought that the time was right for me. I shouldn't wait till maybe I'm 100 or 80 before I do that, because you know, the whatever lessons would have been a bit been outdated. So that was why I'm putting this up. It's not to say that I've ticked all the boxes in terms of what I really want to become. I'm not there yet, but I still think that I have little in the container that I can share and sort of you know, celebrate those years. So that's.
Well, we wish Adjetey Annan all the best, and let's move away from Adjetey Annan. Let's talk about Sarkodie, because he's kick-start his jam store, and this happened in Amsterdam. I know that a lot has been going on with Sarkodie and all of that.
Okay, and that's how we wrap up the bulletin. But remember to brush your teeth before you go to bed this evening and tomorrow morning when you wake up from bed with either Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, Pepsodent Charcoal, or Pepsodent Herbal, or Pepsodent Triple Protection, because with Pepsodent, every smile